So I just want to let everyone know that after my last video where I took the mickey out of Ian's accent, he's decided he doesn't want to be friends with me anymore, but he's still happy to ride next to me, aren't you, Ian?
Yeah, the only condition is we don't speak anymore, and I've had to wear my Team GB colours this morning just to prove my patriotism.
But just to formally introduce Ian, he's actually Bicycle Network Ambassador in Australia. They're a big company that do sort of massive fondos, and he's a 9-hour rider for 3 Peaks. Is that right? So what does that mean, Ian?
Yeah, so our role on the day of 3 Peaks is basically to help people get in under the 9-hour threshold. So it's a 240k ride encompassing more than 4,500 metres of vertical elevation.
Wow.
So yeah, we help riders in the day, nutrition, keep them pacing and sit on that sub 9-hour pace.
Yeah. But you told me that if it wasn't for having to be 9 hours, you could do it in 4, yeah? Alright, so Ian's just peeled off. He's doing a bunchy, and I've just pulled over into the Girraween Sporting Centre. Here they've got a Criterium track, which is purpose-built, and the Sunshine Coast Cycling Club, they host Criteriums here. Not a lot, but from what I understand, occasionally. There was actually a Criterium here on New Year's Eve, and I was going to do it, but didn't start till 6:15, and a couple of days prior, I told the family that I planned on doing a New Year's Eve crit, and I wouldn't be back to dinner until about 7:38. And I got that look for everyone like, righto, you selfish prick. So I decided not to do it in the end, but hopefully, I've looked at the Sunshine Coast Cycling Club website. It's not updated yet, so they're showing race events from last year. Hopefully there'll be a crit here soon, but what I thought I'd do today is bring you here, and also for me to do a bit of research, get to know the course. So when they do run a crit here, because a lot of people have asked me, what's going on with your goal to win A grade? I left Melbourne in a fair bit of a rush. I only ended up racing crits around about eight races I raced in Melbourne, and then we moved up here early December, so the goal's still alive, and I want to come here. There's also Skippy Park, which is about 50 k's down the road, and still try and get up for an A-grade crit. So I actually parked my car here last night, and got a bit of drone footage last night. Going to get the drone up now and get a bit more footage, and then let's roll around. Actually, leaving my car here last night and driving away, it kind of felt like in the middle of nowhere. I thought if someone wanted to rob my car, break into it, they could easily do it, but looks like nothing's been smashed. We're all good. So while I'm here, I'm going to do, I think, 18 sprint efforts. There's a hill up here, and as I mentioned last video, I'm trialling this drink from HVMN. This isn't sponsored, they just sent it to me to trial, and apparently it increases your performance by 2 to 3%. So I'm going to see if I can bust out. I've never busted out 1300 watts. See if I can bust that out today. It's just drinking pure ketones, and man, it's like drinking rocket fuel, which probably means it's going to work.
So I'm just rolling up onto the track here, and there's a few unique things about this course. Number one is we're going to be going clockwise. All the crit courses, Glenvale, St Kilda, Sandown, are anti-clockwise that I've raced on in Melbourne. There's the start and finish line. It's a narrow course, and it's relatively short in comparison to most Criterium courses that I've raced on. It's just over 900 metres in length. Now, we're going to start descending shortly, hooking around this right corner. I'm not sure if I'd call it a corner, but we're going around to the right. And the descent here goes for about 200 to 250 metres and getting about 4 to 5% negative in terms of gradient. Now, one of the things that I've been thinking about at the back of my mind in this course is it is narrow, it is short. You go down a descent, the bunch would have a fair bit of speed here, and then you go up a hill just before the finish line. So where do you make your move? Now, coming around to the right-hand side here, you'll see a shed. And this is where the road sort of elevates. A bit of a false flat, about, 0.5 to 1% gradient. Also noted you get a bit of wind here, a bit of a head, bit of crosswind. So I reckon you'd be wanting to make your move around the side of the bunch in this section here before you hit this hill. Because once you hit this hill, unless you're in the top sort of 5, I doubt you're going to be making a podium, because 100, 150 metres in length, and it's about a 5 to 6% gradient here, and it's a narrow course, so it's going to be hard to get around a lot of riders. Everyone's going to be going full gas, and you'll see the finish line coming up here shortly.
All right, so in between filming here, I'm trying to do a little bit of training. Rico Rogers, who runs Box Altitude, some of you would have known I trialled sleeping in an altitude tent for a month recently. Well, Rico was not only giving me tips on the tent, he used to ride professionally overseas, and he now, at the age of 40, goes and towers up people in the A-grade crits. He wins St Kilda often at the age of 40, it's not bad. And he suggested to me, for a bit of training, cycling training, he said, to build your cycling across all facets, especially your sprint, but you get to lift everywhere, go out and do 9-10 second sprints with a 50-second rest in between. So you're going for a minute, 10 seconds on, 50 seconds off, and do 9 reps, which is what I've just done. And now I'm having a 5-10 minute rest, and I'm gonna go again. And that's massively neuromuscular. What I've found is, like in a crit now, I will punch out, I'm not a sprinter or anything like that, but I'll sprint out, I'll punch out 11 to 1200 watts in each crit, whereas previously I'd be lucky to ever get over 1000 watts. So that just proves just training your sprint there. While I've got you, this team here, where is it? There it is. Inform. So I was part of the original Inform team, would have been about 5 years ago now. We were just a bunch of 30-year-old blokes trying to have a crack in being A-grade in the amateur scene. Well, not only is it turned into a National Road Series team, which is the highest level of road cycling in Australia, but the Australian National Championships are on right now in Buninyong, down in Victoria, and yesterday Sam and Pat Eddy went 1-2 in the under-19 nationals. How unbelievable is that? And additionally, the day before, Jared first in the under-23 Criterium. So lads, well done, unbelievable effort. So just bumped in a couple of boys on the track from Brizzy on their tri bikes. You guys are triathletes?
Hey boys, yeah. Love our triathlons.
Doing the Cairns Ironman, I hear.
We are.
Yep. What do you reckon of this course?
It's good, but it's sort of the up and down makes it, you know, you're too much of an easy ride at one end and then you push yourself the other, whereas I think the flatter courses, I think, are a little bit more challenging.
You mentioned some good tracks in Brizzy. What are they?
There's 2 good tracks in Brisbane. There's the Nunda Crit Track,
which
is on the north side of Brisbane,
yeah,
and the Murray Crit Track, which is on the south side of Brisbane. Both worth visiting, I reckon.
Bit longer than this?
They are. They're about 1.2 k's, so yeah, just a touch longer.
And what are you doing here today? You seem to be ripping out big turns up.
Yeah, we're doing a few efforts and then easy ones in between, and then we'll ride back to Maroochydore after this.
Oh, nice. Well, enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy your ride.
Yeah, you too. See ya.
All right, so I've finished filming and doing my efforts. In 2.5 hours, I've done 44 Ks. It just proves to you how much dicking around you do with camera equipment. I also realised towards the end there, because I kept getting on and off the bike to move the camera, I had a grease stain and a tie mark on my calf. It's gonna look good. So I should have mentioned before, Cameron McKim, Inform make, or Inform Team Insight make, I should say now. He's the man who started the team many years ago, and from where it started to where he's taken it, he's one of my very best mates back in Melbourne, went to school with him. Mate, unbelievable job what you've done with the team. So sorry I forgot to mention you before. Right now, I'm gonna go grab a coffee, probably about 5-10 more Ks, come back here, grab the car, and we'll be done. So we're back at Girraween Sports Centre, just popped under the shade here because the sun just came out, and one of the challenges I'm finding here in Noosa is the sun is very bright and gets high in the sky and is constantly in the lens of the camera. Now before I started doing my sprint efforts here, I did have that drink, the ketone drink, to see if I could bust out 1300 watts, which I've never done before. I've gotten close recently in a crit, and this is how much I've got. 1100, which I need to improve, because I think on this crit course in particular, you see my tactic in Melbourne was to try and go off the front of an A-grade crit, because I don't think I'm a sprinter. I've never really trained my sprint, and certainly if I take on the big sprinters in Melbourne, there's no chance. So I was going off the front, and there was a couple of races where I was off the front final lap, off a break, and off the remnants of the bunch, and it's close, but no cigar. Here, I think I'm gonna have to try and win in a sprint finish, because I doubt, if anyone knows like how the bunch operates here, if breakaways do stay away here, let me know below. But I think it's gonna be a bunch sprint, so I'm gonna have to practice my sprint. Anyway, hope you all enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you all in the next piece.